What if singles could ask men one question and get the truth? Single women. What if we talked honestly about sex, standards, dating behavior, and relationship advice that people keep giving online? Let's talk about all of that. Hey, tonight on Hot Topic Tuesday, we're tackling some more questions singles are asking, but many are afraid to say out loud, and not a lot of people are answering. Welcome to Live, Love, and Marry Wiser. I'm your host, Lorraine Edwards. We have seen so many relationships go over the edge. We have committed our voices to building fences at the cliff, so we need fewer rescues in the valley. Tonight, once again, joining me for Hot Topic Tuesday and to bring some fence building wisdom are my co-hosts, Onita and Renee. Hey, y'all, how y'all doing?
Hey, I'm good. Good, good, good.
Hey,
Excited.
ladies, doing good.
Always excited to have you here. Unfortunately, Ebony couldn't join us because she is not feeling well. So if you're out there,
Baby.
you're a praying sister, or you're just a praying sister, then please pray for her to recover.
Yes.
Feel
So
better.
we have some good questions tonight. But let me just remind you that, as always, if you want to get the lowdown on my dating life, you got to stay till the end. And there's a little thing there's a little bit to share, a little bit to share. So for those of you who were with us last week or watched that episode, this is really part two. Last week was faith, sex, faith, and culture. This is hot topic, sex, faith, and culture. We're gonna answer some of those questions a little bit shorter. We're not gonna park there. We're just gonna do some drive-bys on those topics. But you really must go watch last week's episode, and we will post that link up here for you to check that out, because it was a really good episode. And I think that about all of our episodes, but but I really thought that about last week because it's a topic that we don't talk about enough, and I think that the things that came out on that episode were really good, and you don't hear about a lot. So please go check that out. So, ladies, let me ask you first, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Some of my praying sisters know my leg was acting up today, so I'm literally right now still got my heating pad on my side because it gives me comfort. Right now, I think it's just more of a security blanket. But I'm good. I'm ready to dive into these questions tonight. I feel like there's a little setup in here. I really wish my girl Eve was on here. She
She left you alone as the married one.
I mean, come
Good
on.
evening. Avery's here in the
Hey,
house.
hey, we try to get our
And
knowledge early.
and Nadine, looking forward to the tea. Thank you so much. You know, we always appreciate when you join us and then you comment and you like and share.
Hmm.
So,
How are you doing, Lorraine?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Um, yes, I am doing well. Renee, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. At the moment, feeling a little rushed, a little frazzled because I had to get off work and try to pull everything together to get here. But I'm here, glad about it. Got through the workday just fine. And yeah, here we are. So I'm ready to talk.
I'm excited
Awesome.
because I know you're gonna bring some goodness. Okay, so we have some questions that I pulled from the different groups that I'm a part of. Not just making some. I tweaked a couple of them, but I'm not just making this stuff a whole cloth, which I could do that too because it is my podcast. But I'm like, but we're
Good.
going to answer some questions that people are really asking, and I was I'm gonna start with this one, and I'm just gonna be honest in saying I don't necessarily have an answer for this one, but maybe I'll bite off one of you all's answer. If you could, I tried to start with kind of like the simple, like no controversial ones, and so I'm gonna give you time right now. If you could ask all single men, let's just say they all thought exactly the same, which we know they don't. There's obviously
Right.
similarities, and you could ask one question and get an honest answer. And let me know in the chat too. Y'all join us for this. Um, what would that question be? Anyone who wants to chime in first, go for it. Go for it.
First of all, Lorraine, I was just like, single men, single men. Who do I know? And I started thinking about the single men I knew. And then I was like, okay, when I realized you said all single men. And so we're assuming they all think alike. And I think one question I would ask is, why do you continue to string women along and not just tell them
Mm,
if you're not really looking for our future?
wow. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about that first before we jump to any other question.
Because I mean, in today's society, you see where people are trying to, get everything just right before they fully commit. Or we understand that sometimes there's the FOMO, their fear of missing out. If I pick this one, there may be another one better over here. So let me not settle down with her yet. Let me send her, Grand Rising Queen. And you may be sending that to five different women, which, ugh, talk about ick. But sending that to all of them, giving them little, love breadcrumbs here and there,
Mhm.
but never fully going further than certain levels with each of them because you're still waiting for that one, like, oh, she's really going to be the top. Case in point, I remember in a movie, it just came to my mind, back in the day, I think it was called Boomerang. I don't know if y'all remember this movie, but Eddie Murphy was in the movie. Halle Berry, Robin Givens, both two very beautiful black women. And at that time, they were the black, women of the shows. They were your
Mhm.
Bond girls.
Yeah, they were.
And, Eddie Murphy had a great working relationship with Halle Berry, and she was beautiful. But
Mhm.
then here comes Robin Givens, and whatever her character is, she's the boss. She's also beautiful. And it was for him, it was like she was his unicorn who he needed to,
Mm.
like, nothing else matters. So he had this beautiful woman that he can totally be himself with. And she, he finds her attractive. She's smart and a boss in her own league too. But it was like this one over here where I feel like I can't even touch that. I'm going to go after her instead rather than have this woman with, the one that I can be with. And of course, if you watch the movie eventually, only because she was gracious, Halle Berry, after he goes through all of this. And I say that to say so many people are caught up in so many situationships inside and outside the church because sometimes single men are stringing them along. So that's kind of where my question's from. Like, why are you okay? I mean, I guess not, maybe not why do you do it, but why are you okay with doing it? Like,
Mm.
never fully committing to a woman or going to
Mhm.
that next level.
Mm. I love that question, and I'm not wouldn't have thought of that one actually. Um, Renee, I'm gonna go to you if you ready, or if you want to
Mhm.
comment on that, because I just think that's a great question. And the thing, that's, and I think you mentioned this, but I just want to maybe highlight a little bit the fact that it's not just men outside the church.
Mhm.
It's men inside the church.
Yeah.
And that's the bigger problem, I think. you know,
Yes.
like, why do you even think that that's okay? Of course, when you ask one question, a whole bunch of other questions jump out at you. But why do you, like you said, why do you think that's okay?
Hmm.
Why does, where does the Holy Spirit come in to that whole process?
Hmm.
And we're not saying you go out to dinner with somebody and then you're like, hey, I'm just trying to, we know what we mean when we string in people along,
Yeah.
making people feel like, oh, you're the one, but you the one of five or whatever, like you said.
Yeah.
So that's a great
Yes.
question.
Yeah. So I will say, yes, I will agree. That is definitely a great question. And when you find the answer to that, please let me know. Okay. Um, but also, I think my question is kind of in line with that too. But it's like if I were to ask them a question, you know, if they are single and dating, my question
Mhm.
would be, what are you dating for? You know what I mean? Like, what's the purpose in your dating? Are you dating just to have a good time? Are you dating to for the purpose of trying to court someone and get married? Like, what's your end game? You know,
Mm-hmm.
because if you don't have one, why dating? That's my question. That's what I would like to
Mm.
know the answer to.
Yes.
That's a great question, because when we look in the scripture, now there's no dating in the scripture, but there's intention in the scripture. You know what I'm saying? So they're not going out to Starbucks or whatever, Olive Garden and Cheesecake Factory to kind of get to know each other. But there's intention. There's a decision. Oh, this person, and I want to marry that person. So let me take the time. Well, of course, they didn't take a lot of time to get to know each other. It was like families and all that kind of stuff. But it's like they pointed their eyes in a certain direction, and then they didn't turn from the left to the left to the right. Now, they had some concubines and all. That's a different thing. That's where we talk about descriptive versus prescriptive. Like, what
Right.
did I want versus what did you do?
Right.
Okay. Renee says hello. Renee Price says hello.
Hey,
Mary
Renee.
is on here. Hey. And then let's see what Ebony
Hey,
uh
Marianne.
that's a good let's see what Ebony's question would be. She was said, I would ask if men think that a man who is single and living a godly life are weird. Mm.
Mm.
Like not drinking, not sexting, relationship with Christ. So you would ask them if they think that other men think that they're weird.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's why they're not doing that.
Yeah. No,
Go ahead.
I believe I would say you've even seen people talk about it. Even matter of fact, when we talked about at last week's episode, a week before that, we were talking about Russell Wilson and Sierra. I mean, so many
Mm-hmm.
men were calling him a simp, or he's not a man's man because he decided that we're gonna date without sex. And they were really, mind you, here's this guy, NFL player, all these millions of dollars, and because he chose to date with intention and not put sex at the, put sex on the table, they were clowning him. Men of all different facets of walks of life were clowning him
Mm-hmm.
because he decided to not put sex on the table. So I think that's a great question, E.
Yeah. So I guess that's going to lead me to my question that I just thought of. Ebony said, I know men who think that type of man doesn't exist. Yeah.
True, true.
Because they think all men XYZ.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we framed our question to point to all men, we know that we said at the beginning that there is no all men do XYZ.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess my question is, why do you think that it is important to have, or necessary? I know every man doesn't think this, but why do you think it's necessary to test drive the car before you buy it? In relation to, why do you think it's okay or necessary to have sex or figure out if you're compatible sexually before you marry somebody? And here's the reason that I would ask that question. Oh, Avery has a question, so we'll put that up later. Here's the reason I would ask that question, because like I've been in chats or whatever, and so many people say that, first of all, actually use that terminology, which that's just offensive anyway. Like, you were just like, even if you just said, I want to make sure we're sexually compatible, I still would disagree with you, but at least I would sort of a little respect.
Yeah.
As opposed to saying you got to test drive the car before you buy it, foolishness. Okay.
Yeah.
So, because thing that is interesting to me about that point. And just so you know, Renee's having some internet issues because it's life and that's what happens. So she'll be
Mhm.
back. In the name of Jesus, she will be back.
Amen.
Because what that person down the road likes sexually is going to be different than what that girl down there likes sexually. It's
Hmm.
going to be different than what I like sexually. All of us are different. So you're not and this actually is going to lead to our last question. Is going to lead into, but all of us are different. Our parts are pretty much the same. Some are bigger, some are smaller, some whatever, but we're different. So what satisfies me, it doesn't matter if you learned or practiced or did whatever to become this great lover when you could still be a bad lover to your wife because what you did over there, she's like, bruh. You
Not working for me.
know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And why is it different to figure out your sexual compatibility than what it is in marriage?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're gonna do it before to figure it out, what are you gonna do? If you're not, are you gonna break up? Because if you're still gonna get married, why don't you just figure it out in the way God told you to figure it out? And I bet it would be even more fun and a lot easier. Not does it has its challenges, which we're gonna talk about later.
Hmm.
But if you practice on another woman, it doesn't help you with your wife. And if you're gonna marry her, practice on her with her when you get married because you have years to learn her
Yes. Yes.
and then
Yes.
satisfy her. So I guess I would ask that question around sex and whole let's do that thing before. Let's see what Avery's question is. I would ask boys my age if they are encouraged by men in their life to live a godly life, not drinking, no polygamy, not no polygamy. Good Lord, she went on. She went all the way there. Like,
Okay, that's my AP honor roll student.
I
Okay,
know the future co-host of America. Um,
it's okay.
so that's a great question, and based on some of our questions. We're not having a sense that a lot of boys are getting that kind of um, instruction or encouragement.
Hmm.
And even a lot of the men that when we listen to podcasts and those types of things, a lot of men talk about how the men at the barbershop and the men on the corner and the men here were always just like, hey, is that your girl? Don't be, you gotta
Hmm.
basically encouraging them to quote unquote sow their wild oats. Wild oats create problematic seeds. So
Exactly.
anyway, and so I think that's a fantastic question.
Yeah.
And I think that the church has a responsibility to answer that question and
Come
say,
on, let's talk
look,
about it.
we haven't been doing that. Let's
Yep.
spend some more time doing that. Let's spend
Yeah.
some time pouring into the boys and teenagers and young men of the church, because as we talked about last week, you can change your mind. You may have already had sex as a boy or a child or a teenager or a young man or an old man. You may have already done that, but you can change your mind. It's the
Yes.
beauty of minds. But we kind of think of it like, oh well, they already doing it. Well, so
Yes.
that's what conversion is for. That's what
Exactly.
sanctification is for. The stuff we used to do, we don't do anymore. And so if we're not talking about it, and I've never had a conversation like the conversation we had last week. Um, I haven't been a lot of churches where I've heard conversations like that.
Yeah.
for boys or girls. And
Yeah.
so, and by the same token, women, us, need to be pouring into the younger generation behind us, talking about these same things too.
Hmm.
And so I think that's a great question. Let's see.
Great, great question.
Um, so that's right, Ebony. And I, yeah, I mentioned women do this too. Um, and you know what? I we know women do it too because they're doing it with with the men that believe in this. And there's some women who do it because they want to hold on to the men,
Yeah.
and then, um, and then a lot of women do it because they've given up on that whole concept of purity and all of that because they think there's, first of all, many don't believe they're going to get married at all, so they're just like, at least can I do this? But yeah, there's a lot of that mindset, because in that chat I was talking about specifically, I can't remember who was the one who posted it, but um there were a lot of men who said no to the whole abstinence, but there were women in there too saying, no, you gotta know before before you go. So
Yeah. Which, and these are the same women, though, if you do that, then they're later in the relationship afraid to ask for things that they want and clearly communicate their expectations
hmm
because you've already put the sex up so early, the foundation for vulnerability where you feel there's emotional safety and good communication. A lot of those are very important things get missed when the sex is very early in the relationship. Not saying it can't get better later, but it's going to be a lot more harder to establish those very important things when the sex comes, which God created, and He made it to be a beautiful thing and to emotionally bond you to that person. And when all you're exchanging chemicals from each other, you're exchanging bodily fluids. It was made to bond you to that person. And we've said this before. This is why people end up um, missing a lot of red flags because you're now, soul tied to this person, and so the red flags pop up, you go ahead and ignore it because, oh, the sex is good. And my mom used to be like, she used to always say, God don't send me none that good. She used to be like, she don't want to lose all her mind. And at first I was like, what does she mean? Until I saw people losing their mind. And as far as in relationships, the things that you think somebody would never do or allow a person to do to them. But because sex was very early in the relationship, they're tied to them.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and that emotional safety and that vulnerability is not where it can be if we foundationally establish the relationship the way it should be. And yeah, I wholeheartedly agree that women and men need to be talking to the younger generations and not just, I mean, because we were told that, those who are holy or God sets his people apart, but then a lot of times there's no conversations, there's not safe spaces for them to ask the questions.
hmm
They need to be able to ask these questions before they say I do. Like there needs to be a safe space there
yeah.
to let them ask these
Mhm.
questions.
And we're coming there for sure. Um, and I'm just going to drop this, and then we're going to go to the next question. Hey, Sandra, let me see if this is related to. I saw a reel of a lady that had been married 3 times. Encourage her daughter to test drive
Wow.
before saying I do. Not great advice for sure. Definitely not great advice. All right, let's see if we can get. But what I'm going to say is, um, there is pleasurable sex outside of marriage, but there's not good sex out of marriage. Outside of marriage, that's all I got to say about that.
All right.
And we'll
Bomb
drop.
dropped.
We'll talk more about that in the book. But all right, what is one thing? Here's the second question. I got an answer for this one. What is one thing a man can do in the getting to know you stage that immediately turns you off, regardless of his attractiveness, and why? Do you have your sound on you? There's like feedback. I was getting a message that there's feedback happening and our voices are distorted. So if you have your phone, then if you can turn. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
What is one thing a man can do in the getting to know you stage um, that immediately turns you off regardless of his attractiveness and why?
I mean, I've been married so long.
Oh, I
But
got my answer. I got my answer. You
I was
want
going to
my
say,
answer?
but if I had to, that would immediately turn you off, regardless of the attractiveness. Let me just tell y'all, and I've said it before, but I hate the common "Good morning, Queen." Like that would just give me the ick.
Onita really hates that.
That's one of the, and I want to tell you why, because I know many women being bamboozled by that, like that are being bamboozled because he's "Good morning, Queen." I'm like, you don't even know her middle name. You don't know her mom and them name, and you,
Yeah.
ugh,
Okay.
gets on my nerves. Okay,
All right.
I'll move on to you, Renee.
Here's mine. Here's mine. Here's mine. If he brings up the topic of women submitting to their husbands,
Mm.
that's
And early too, early.
what I'm saying. We're in the beginning, getting to know you stage of the relationship. We're not deep. We just chatting, having a few conversations, and you bring up the getting up. And here's the thing: I'm going to listen to your whole argument, statement, and then I'm going to judge you based on that. And then I'm going to be like, because we've done many episodes about submission on this podcast, and we believe in it in a godly, biblical way. But most of the men that I've ever come across, it's like they ain't never read the Bible except somebody told them that they read that one line. They didn't read the whole thing.
Hmm.
They didn't read the whole thing. They just read that one line, and now they're gonna come to you like you. I'm not married to you, so I don't. It doesn't say women submit to men. It says wives submit to your husbands as to the Lord. And so, why are we even talking about this right now? Because we're not
Right.
even close to the altar. We not. So that for me, and you all know, I shared on the podcast about this guy basically saying that because but I'm not gonna go into that. But anyway, he said that, and he said a whole bunch of other stuff to me too.
Ignorant.
Ignorant. But that's the one thing he could say. There's plenty of one things, but that was the one that came to me.
So I have a question. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes,
We
we
can.
can.
Okay. So would that question be so bad if he was talking about it from the woman's standpoint and then added the men's standpoint? I mean, like how he felt about it from a man's standpoint, knowing that it is his responsibility to submit to you as well. Like, would that be a shocker to you, or do you just really not want to talk about it across the board?
No, I said I said I would listen to his whole, statement on it, like let
Right.
him explain. I wouldn't, I would just listen and I wouldn't have any feedback or anything. I would just listen to how he talks about it. And then when he's done, I would judge that based on
Okay.
is it from a biblical perspective, or is it from a you here to serve me kind of perspective?
Mhm.
Okay.
And I never really see
Okay.
anybody in
Okay. So
between.
it
It's
could be a
either
good
this or
judgment.
that. Yeah, exactly. So if he came like that, I'd be like, oh, this is sweet.
Mhm.
Because I don't know if you all remember when Dalmain was on the podcast, we talked about this topic. And, I could have married him right then. Like,
Delmain, if you're watching,
so yeah, it's how they come with it. And I've never heard, I mean, he's probably one of the only men that I've ever heard talk about that topic and come from a actual biblical perspective that is single. Like there are there are married men that I know who have the correct perspective of it. So
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And that's like you said early on. It's a definitely red flag because why is he coming in hot like that?
Hmm.
Why is he coming in
Yeah.
hot like that? Tomorrow, you need to be
You're
submitted.
usually just trying to tell somebody to submit to you, and it's like I don't have any reason to submit to you, bro. We just getting to know each other. So
Right? Who are you?
all right, Renee, you got one?
the question on the table? I'm sorry.
The question is, what could a man do in the getting to know you stage that would be an immediate turn off, regardless of whatever else he might be?
Okay. Yeah. So while I was having my technical difficulties, I was listening, but I did not hear that question. So yeah, be too fast, too fast, too soon. Did anybody say that already?
No. Mm-mm.
Mhm. Nobody said that. Sorry, y'all. We are having some technical difficulties. Okay. I don't know why. Renee? Okay.
Oh, there she go. You back, Renee? I think she said be too fast. When she said too fast too soon.
Mm-hmm.
That was something I was thinking of too. I mean, because now people send pictures of their privates on their phone. I guess that's supposed to be a, I don't know, a turn on, I guess. So is that what you
You
mean,
know,
Renee?
no, yeah, especially like with me being a little bit older, more mature, knowing what I want and whatnot. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's a turn off, and it's actually more disgusting than anything. Like, just please excuse yourself.
Oh, you broke up, Renee.
Sorry, folks. Please stick with us. Okay, we might have to.
Yeah, but I think it was a good answer. I'm quite sure many people can identify with that. Matter of fact, I was listening to the Breathe podcast a couple of weeks ago, where they actually had on, and this is Pastor Deblair Snell, Kirk Nugent, and I forget the other guy's name, David Pearson, and they had some college students on. What generation are they? Are they Zers?
Gen
And,
Z, I think. Yeah.
and the boys, when they talked about what are some things that turn them off or give them the ick, the boys, there's three boys on there, they all said when girls are propositioning them too early, like they're just getting to know them, and girls are trying to offer it up early. They all said no, it's a turn off, and they got the ick. And so I was glad to see that in that generation of these young men that they were like, yeah, that's a turn off for us. And I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
there's hope. There's hope.
Yes, there is. And I just think there's always, when Elijah was running away from Jezebel,
Mhm.
and he was saying to God, God's like, why are you here? And he said, it's just me and no one else is. And he's like, no, there's 7,000 who haven't bowed the knee to Baal.
Yes.
We we have to remember that even though sometimes it can be difficult to meet those people or encounter, there are men and women who are standing living for Christ as singles who love the Lord, and their primary goal is to meet him in peace. And so they are making decisions, and even there are young men and women who are doing that as well.
Yeah.
So I think that is, we have to remember, because it's easy, and we know we hear it a lot, that there are no good men out here, or there are no good women out here, and all of that kind of stuff. But there are a lot of good men, and there are a lot of good women. And
Hmm.
granted, um, I'm not around any of them, but I'm like, I'm sure. No, I believe, that there are. And because people are getting married every day to good men and good women. Now, some are getting married to not good men and not good women, but we're not talking about them. And so we have to remember that uh, God is preparing a people, and there are
Yes.
people who love him and want to serve him and live the way that he wants us to live.
Yes, 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 yes.
Mhm. All right. So I think we are going to lose Renee because of the. Let me get this.
The Wi-Fi. You got
Um,
the next question.
yeah. The next question is, how can you demonstrate a wife mindset with giving wife benefits while dating a man?
Sheesh. Did you gonna post that one up there? Say it again. I need to see it.
Yeah.
Let's see
Yeah.
it.
Let me know in the chat what y'all think. We have some technical stuff. We need y'all to chime in here in the comments. How can you demonstrate a wife mindset without giving wife benefits?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one because sometimes people fall prey into being wifey, doing all the
And, I,
wifey stuff.
and I'm not even necessarily talking about sex, but I'm just
Yeah,
saying other stuff that you would do if you were married to somebody, but maybe we need to back up or hold off on that until we actually are. I do.
yeah. I think that's good. I think one, if you're anticipating that you're going to be a wife, recognizing that in the marriage both parties are serving each other. And so wife mindset would one just show that you have care and concern for that person, considering them even when making some decisions, especially if you're in a committed relationship. So, hey, maybe I went out every weekend with my single girlfriends. But now that I'm dating, I'm going to consider my spouse now, the person I'm dating, and say, one, leave space open for him to make plans for us because you do want a guy that can make plans. But two, also consider him in your planning. Hey, babe, my girlfriend's having a game night. Do you want to come with us? Do you want to come with me over? Because
Mm-hmm.
that's what a wife would do. She's considering her partner when it's
Mm-hmm.
time to make plans for herself, especially during the free time moments. You understand you're both at work, you got stuff going on, but when there's free time, and it's this person you like and you think this may be the one, you want to make time for them. And so a wife would consider the person as well as respect the person. If she has anybody in her DMs that may be exes or guys that she may consider potential, but she's now saying, I'm in a committed relationship, it's time to block those people and cut
Mm.
them off and unfriend these people. Because
Mm-hmm.
if, as a wife, I'm not even, the Bible says, shun the appearance of a thing. So I'm not even going to play around with your DM coming to me. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not even going to do that. Yes, I know I have self control and I'm not going to go too far, but you need to start now acting as the wife and
Mm-hmm.
shut off these things so that you don't leave a little gap open for things to be misinterpreted or anything. Delete certain numbers from your phone too.
Yeah. Ebony said define wife benefits. I think you did a little bit. But I think that as a wife, you would, you know, consider your husband's feelings. You would probably, most wives are cooking and cleaning and, you know, doing laundry and those types of things. And that's just
Mhm.
a reality. It's not always that way. Sometimes it's the husband, whatever. But in
Mhm.
general, you know, because a lot of guys will, you know, say, hey, when are you going to come? I mean, there are men who expect that if we're dating, that you're going to come and cook their food and clean the house and do the laundry and stuff. And I'm just like, bruh,
Yeah,
no.
my daughter's listening.
I
Don't
haven't
you
met
dare.
no, I haven't met him, but even when I was watching other podcasts and people were saying that, I was just like, really? People really expect that someone you're dating. Now, I'm not saying that I might never cook you a meal, because sure,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
will, but
yeah.
I'm not going to be responsible for making sure that you eat every single day, just like I would not expect you to be responsible for paying my bills
Come
every month.
on.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yes.
I think that, you know, wife benefits, other, you know, obviously we know sex is one of them, but we're just excluding that for, not excluding it, but we kind of already talked about that. We don't do that. um, but those other types of caretaker roles and responsibilities, Some people would consider wife benefits permission. Like, do you? People don't necessarily like to use the word permission as it relates to their husband, even. But when you want to go do something, do you ask permission of your person, of your, do you feel like, do you have to ask permission of that person that you're dating in order to do that thing? Hey, I want to go on a, girls trip with my friends for, her birthday. Do you have to ask permission for that when you're dating? I think permission, or whatever that looks like or feels like, um, should be limited to my husband. So
Exactly.
unless I'm also asking him to pay for that trip, then maybe that would be a different thing.
Hmm.
So I think that's what kind of we think about wife benefits. That is a benefit to him. Even going back to the other question, is submission a wife benefit? And is there a taste of that? Because that's what we're talking about. Like, how can you demonstrate that you are a wife? In the sense where people say, "Hey, he that finds a wife finds a good thing." And so people are like, "Well, you have to be a wife before you become a wife."
Hmm.
I would say, and I'm going to ask the flip question too about, like, how can men demonstrate that they are husband material, that they are husbands? But does that mean submitting to him? Does it mean submitting to him in some stuff and not other stuff? So that's what I want to. Hey, I want y'all in the chat to help us with this question. So I would say some things that I think is important is loyalty. So, do you stand up for him? Do you, like, whether you're with him or not, do you speak well of him?
Yeah.
Do you build him up and lift him up? That is something you absolutely can do before you get, and should do before you, I mean, you should do that for anybody before you get married. You
Yeah.
know, are you, like, loyal in the sense of, if somebody is kind of maybe talking about him or behind his back or whatever, do you speak up? But also loyal to the relationship. Are you faithful to that? When you say you're going to do something, do you do it? you
Right.
know do you keep your word to him? A lot of times we think about those things from the perspective of the man to the woman, but it's as much my responsibility to do those things for him and to him as it is his responsibility to me.
Hmm.
And so, like I said, I'm not. Ebony said, let's see what she got. She's like, yeah, no, hubby did expect that when we got engaged, but as his girlfriend, I wasn't fixing to wash any underwear. That I
I know
didn't.
that's right. Listen, my daughter has already seen it in college where some girls they're dating seriously, and she going with him to the laundromat, and I'm like, for what? They're doing she's doing her laundry, he's doing his. No, she's doing his.
Mm-hmm.
Like
No,
what? No, no, no.
I'm not excited about that. Avery says, setting aside time to talk about your core values, commitment, and plans for the future together while still having individual goals. These sound like some hall children.
I mean, you better say that, Avery. Omari Hall. Yes, yes. Really,
We can have her on here.
for
Um,
real.
we had Taylor already, so she's next in
Yes,
line.
yes.
So I think that something that you said that I think is really important is just being thoughtful and considerate. So let's say I'm not going to come over to your house and cook a meal every single day. Like, I'm just not going to do that. I'm not sure that I'm going to do that when we get married. So we probably should talk about that.
That's right. Let's talk about it.
We need to talk about that.
Mhm.
I enjoy cooking, but I'm not, when I see how, like, oh, wait a minute. So if we're married for 50 years, that's a lot of meals. 50, that's at least one meal a day.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's more than that. Times 50. Ooh, that's a lot. So let's talk about that. But how about if I'm picking up something for myself, and I'm just like, oh, hey, I call you, hey, I'm gonna pick up something for myself. Do you want something? I can drop it off. Like, even if we're not necessarily hanging out together that
Right.
night, but he lives around me or whatever. Hey, do you want something? Pick it up. Or I'm going to the grocery store and I see something that he likes, that he enjoys, to eat or whatever. And I
Hmm.
buy it. So when he comes over to my house, not late at night,
Okay.
late at night, but when he comes over to my house, so to me, these are things that demonstrate that you have a wife mindset. Like, you're
Yeah.
thinking about that person, you're thoughtful about their needs and their desires and the things that they like and they want. and and obviously, as we reverse the question about husband, there's some other things. And I need to say this though. I think, despite what I said in the first question, it's going to sound like a contradiction, but it's really not, because we were talking about the getting to know you stage. If we are actually in a relationship that's moving toward marriage, I do think there's a certain level of submission that you can demonstrate that doesn't overstep the relationship where you are. Okay.
Well, definitely.
So let me give you, I'm gonna try to make up an example, but
I got an example in my head.
go for it,
I
man.
was just saying, just even yes, we know you're an independent woman and you can do all this stuff by yourself. But you know what? My tire got flat. He goes, I'm coming to help you out. No, don't worry about it. I'm called AAA.
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming to help you out. That's you know what? I'm going to submit and let him come do that for me because he said that planning. We've talked about this before, letting him plan dates. But one, you want him to do it, but also let him do that. So he's planned a date, and he wants to go to this seafood restaurant. You're like, I really don't like. Try it out. Go ahead with the brother. The brother has made plans.
Mm-hmm.
Stick with the plans he has made.
I like
That's
that.
that's a way of showing levels of submission already, and that you trust him, and that you're
Mm-hmm.
trusting his judgment in that area. And another one, which is I've been married 26 years, and I think I'm really just getting it this year. Lord, his driving. Try not to side seat drive.
Not 26 years, and
Yeah,
you just getting this now.
maybe year 25. I think it was
Yeah,
year 25.
Ebony stole my answer, but I'm gonna put it up there.
Yeah, but you know, one, yeah, you want to help be the little navigator too, but
If he asked for that, yeah.
if he asks for it, he can use Siri too, and it said 500 feet, but he thought it meant half a mile. So y'all missed the turn.
You having a little
Flashback.
PTSD right now.
I have a little PTSD. Don't say I told you so. You don't need to be like, speaking on it. Let him go ahead and reroute and get y'all there. Keep your smile and your joy in your face. Don't nag about it. Don't say, well, you should have listened. Don't do any of that. I think these are all examples of ways
These are all good examples.
you can be sure. These are real life examples that have happened. Okay, I'm telling you, it's not just me. I know many friends, many married women have gone through the same walk.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, are you going to get there? Yeah,
You're gonna get there,
you're going to get there.
and I
I
will
mean,
tell you
unless you're just
sometimes.
really wilding, you are going
Right,
to get there, and
you
their
get there.
path is not always your path. But guess
Yeah,
what? My path is almost never God's path, and we still get there. So I just got to learn to trust. This is what
amen.
I was going to say this too, asking his perspective and taking his advice. I think it's
Yes,
super important. And it can be on big things, it can be on small things, but I think just taking that step to verbalize and say, what do you think? I think that's a game changer for a lot of men, as far
yes.
as how they think about how you think about them,
Mm-hmm.
and respecting them and respecting their opinions, which of course means that you need to be talking to people whose opinions that you do respect.
Okay.
Because you can't, a lot of women don't do that because they talking to boo boo the fool, and so they don't want to they not gonna take his advice because it's just crazy. And
Okay.
so, so I think you gotta. So all of these things that we talk about, they line up because if you're making the right decisions, if you're dating because you are ready and not just for loneliness, if you're not trying to date for potential, all of these things that we talk about, they always come back together to say you can do these types of things when you make the decisions that are better on the front end. So
Mm-hmm.
you're not trying to fix stuff on the back end.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. All right. Now, I want you to and just maybe touch on we'll touch a little bit on how can a man show that he has a husband mindset and while dating. And
Definitely being
go ahead.
respectful. I was gonna say being respectful. He also considering you. If before he started dating you, seriously, he got off to work, he went to the gym every day, stayed there, did the gym, then played ball with his boys, and then get home to 10 o'clock at night, shower, bed. But he's supposed to be your man. He needs to make some adjustments
Mm,
because now I need to. Not saying don't work out, but hey, let's first of all, hey babe, let's go work out together. I know my routine is different from yours, but do you want to meet me at the gym? He's considering you. And hey, guys, I'm only going to play ball twice a week versus 5 times because he has to now start thinking
mm-hmm,
his
mm-hmm.
life is not just about him anymore. It can't just be
Yeah,
about everything he needs, all his decisions, everything that he
right.
wants. And making plans for you too, and for you all in the future. If
Mm-hmm,
he's being a man, he wants to be a man, and showing the benefits of a married man would be making plans for you all and um, seeking your advice too. Actually, sharing with you, sharing his heart, saying, "Man, I had a rough day at work today, and this is what's happened." One, being honest and vulnerable to share that with you, but then also listening to you what you have to say about it,
mm-hmm,
not just being
mm-hmm.
one directional with it. I
Yeah.
think it's also a way that the man can show that he's in it, and that he's showing how he can be as a husband, and as
Mm-hmm.
well as being, those three P's: a protector. One, wanting to pray with you. If you're looking for a godly man in the dating, we should be able to pray with one another. And
Yeah.
Sandra and Tommy Daniels, they're over our chat and dine. This is one thing they always talk about. Even if you're married, y'all better pray together. Now we've
Mm-hmm.
been challenged with some just like lay your hands on that man and pray for him, because the enemy loves if he can mess that up. It's one of the most vulnerable things that you can do. It's like you have sex, but some couples feel weird praying together, and I think that's
Yeah.
just the enemy. But in your
Mm-hmm.
dating, he can show that he wants to be head of the household by making sure he's covering you in that way, that he's praying for you. He knows you about to go on your girls trip, so when he's calling you, checking in with you, but then saying, "Hey, let me pray for you before you guys go on this trip." He ain't
Yeah.
trying to have tabs on you, but hey, when you get home or when you ride to your location, just send me a text, let me know you made it there safely.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, do you need anything for this trip? You need me to go buy water your plants while you're gone? Change your kitty litter? You need a couple of dollars? These are things that a husband will do.
Kitty litter, no that, no cats,
I
no
don't know.
cats.
I'm just saying. So
I'm like, but no, I hear you. I hear you. I hear you.
I'm
I hear
allergic.
you.
I'm gonna roll your trash can out to the curb for you while you out, while you're
Mm-hmm.
gone, and I'll bring it back. But doing things to show that he wants to care, protect you, pray over you, provide for you, and cover you,
Yeah.
would be some of the benefits I would say
No,
that
that's
he can show.
good. Anita took all the answers. So we're gonna go. No, Renee said letting them see how you value yourself and the way you handle your time and how you carry and care for yourself. It goes both ways. Agree with that.
Yes.
But I will also say that, I've heard men talk about this and like good men talk about this, and they said that a good man actually will want to pay and take care of things for you
Mhm.
even before you get married.
Yeah.
And that can be, uh, I'm a lot more open right now to that. I haven't met him yet, by the way. Like when I hear some of the stories of what men are, I'm just like, where do they live? Because I ain't met him yet. I have not met him. But that they will want to pay for things. They will want to show that they can take care of you in those types of ways. And you may, especially if you've been single for a long time and you've been taking care of yourself, you may feel a way about that. But I think that one way that you can show your wife, mindset is to accept that, and maybe talk about where you think it might be too much. Like, I don't necessarily need you to pay my rent, but if you want to help me with this, or if, like, when the car needs to be fixed or whatever, if you want to take the car. And so you all as a couple decide where that is, but you also have to have a conversation. If
Hmm.
he's like, no, let me do this, let me do that, and you're just like, nah, I'm not, you feeling kind of weird about it, then you need to communicate, because that's what a good wife does that too. You all communicate about where you want the boundaries to be, because, you know, and we're talking about a healthy couple, not a perfect couple, but a healthy couple. So no one's trying to manipulate anybody's like, oh, if I pay this, then she's got to sleep with me, or she's got to do these other things. No, it's just like a generous heart of, like, I want to do these things for her because I love her, I care about her, and I want to do these things for him because I love and care about him. So you have to communicate where those boundaries are, if you have some. Now, apparently some women have no boundaries.
And men.
I was in one of those groups. I was reading, and this gentleman shared this scenario that happened to him. He went out with a woman. It was like their first date, and she asked him a question about, like, how much money he made. And I don't know if he told her, but I think he was just kind of questioning, why she would ask that question when we're just
Hmm.
meeting. And basically she said, because her rent it was like 2,000 something dollars, and she needs a man who can pay her rent.
Wow.
And he said, oh, okay, well, you got the wrong guy. And so date was over. They hadn't even eaten yet. They just got, and I'm just like, man, some of these women are bold.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think that is a great way. Okay, now this is where I need you to lead, because you shared a video with us about, it was a single woman who was a little bit angry. We're not gonna play the video, y'all, because there was some you know
Choice words on there.
choice words. There were some choice words on there. So um she was angry. And so why don't you tell us about what she was angry about, and then we'll ask the question.
Okay, so in recent news, Tina Campbell have part Mary of the group Mary husband. I think last week or the week for last announced that he filed for divorce,
Mm-hmm.
and lo and behold, many people have thoughts about it. And so you had people talking about that. I mean, I saw several different videos. And it seems like I only saw a lot of the women videos who were kind of angry at her, which was weird because why weren't they mad at him? But basically, the video I share with you guys, I think this particular lady was upset with why she's basically saying Christian married women need to stop giving single women advice. Was her main
Mm-hmm.
point. Definitely the sister seemed mad and bothered and hurt, like she was triggered, like something had happened to her in the
She was definitely triggered.
She was definitely triggered. Okay. And so she was mad. And then also, I guess, yeah, and said for public figures, but they were particularly mad at both sisters, it seems,
Mm-hmm.
Erica and Tina, both of being married, about the advice they have shared, I guess, throughout the years. And even maybe most recently within the past couple of years about marriage and how they speak out about it, and what have you. And so the question is, should Christian women take marriage advice from, and this is saying Christian women, but I say single women,
Yeah.
that's what that lady was saying. Single. Her main thing was point was yelling, "Single women don't need to be listening to Christian married women." And I was just like, "Girl, okay." But should Christian women take marriage advice from public figures whose relationships appear unhealthy, and again appear, or should the results of those relationships matter before we receive counsel?
Well, it sounds like, based on the information I've gotten, both of them have their husbands have cheated in the
Hmm.
relationship. So that does have some level of unhealthiness to it. Obviously, that's unhealthy, but we don't know what adjustments have. Well, of course, now they're getting divorced, so we know that
Yeah.
that probably kept on being unhealthy, even if they tried to kind of work things out. But here's the question again: should you take advice from these public figures because they're public and people know and see them, and they're Christian and they're saying the good Christian stuff? Um, Even if their relationships are unhealthy, or should the results of those relationships matter before we receive counsel? So, can I answer this?
Please.
I'm going to answer it by using myself as an example. I'm not married, as you well know. I've never been married, as you also know. However, I have given a lot of married women advice. I have led marriage seminars. I have done presentations for married people. And so I guess my struggle with this concept that if your marriage is not great, that means you can't give good counsel. Just like I struggle with the concept that if you're single, you can't give good counsel. Because I believe that anything that's good comes from God,
Come
and
on.
God can use anybody to share his word or to share his thoughts in any area. You don't have to experience every single thing in order to give counsel in that thing. So
Hmm.
that's my perspective.
Yeah.
Is your
I,
perspective?
I think that's a great perspective to have because we know he used a donkey. Okay, in the Bible he used a donkey. I'm just gonna say it, but he told Balaam, listen, you ain't listening, you being hard headed. Okay, he used a whale to take for Jonah. Okay, but yeah, I think one as far as these public figures, because let's flip it to the other side. You have a bunch of them going around and following Cardi B of her dating life, her marriage and dating life. You have some that are that's their role model, and so one, I much rather be listening to a Christian public figure than a non-Christian public figure because, and especially where they're saying things that are thus said the Lord. When you're tying it into what the Bible says about forgiveness, because this
Mhm.
is what it's about. You know, the lady who's been angry, who's very angry about it, and basically calling Tina stupid for staying. Listen, Tina made a covenant between God and her husband, and her at that time of her deciding to work and for her marriage, and him saying he wanted to do it. This was not
Mhm.
a man being forced to stay. This
Mhm.
is a man that was, hey, forgiven and decided we're gonna go make an album about it. We're gonna make a whole ministry of this thing. We're gonna tour the country, helping other marriages, and they did help other marriages who maybe there wasn't infidelity, but there was
Mhm.
strain and tension on the marriage. To say, man, if they come back from where they went, then we can deal with our stuff too. And that God is a healer. God is a restorer. The Bible tells us he's a restorer of even ruin. So God can take a dead thing and bring it back to life. And they made that decision together because their covenant was between them and God, nobody else.
Mhm.
They
Mhm.
also had like 6 kids. And so I think they also, her decision was thinking of the fact that her mom and dad, I think, had been married and divorced 3 times in another lives because I used to watch their show when they were on. And so
Mhm.
thinking of her family legacy and what that may look like, I think may have tied into her decision making process as well. It was out there, it was very public what had happened. And as she was going through, they decided to stop the show because, I mean, she was on the brink of losing it. Okay. And so for people to now minimize it and downplay it, make it seem like she just woke up one day, said, I forgive you, Teddy, let's move on. No, that sister went to the deep,
Mhm.
darkest pits. I mean, she even shot up his car.
Oh, wow.
Yes. She found out Homegirl shot up his car.
Wow.
Okay. So folks acting like she was stupid. She come back. It didn't come easy. And so
Mhm.
what I'm saying is for her to go through all of the stages of anger and rage
Mhm.
and grief, because there's grief there.
Yeah.
and she came out on the other side and made a decision between her, God, and her husband to stay. I was right there praying for them and saying, you know what, Tina, if God is for y'all, then
Mm,
you go ahead and go forward, sis.
yeah.
And like I said, there what they did do ministry wise, it did help other marriages. I mean, they wrote songs and stuff about it. And so him coming out, it was like, you know what? You lost a good one, sir. Because that
Mm-hmm.
lady was saying she was ready to stand by you. What's the song? Through the fire, through the limit, through the wall. She was willing to go there and go through it all with you. So now you've made that decision. That's on him. And that's what frustrates me. That's about black women in general. Why y'all ain't making no videos about Teddy for how that
Mm,
is? I'm seeing so many videos of
yeah.
women talking about how y'all need to stop listening to her. That was just one of the videos. There's
Mm-hmm.
so many more that I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
wow. And so that just shows me that people are speaking from their own place of hurt, from
Yeah.
what has happened to them, the betrayal that happened to them, that they
Mm-hmm.
couldn't see nothing. They couldn't see God working at that. They couldn't see 1 Corinthians 13 that people love to read at their weddings. I'm like, do you really read what this thing says? What love is?
Yeah.
Are
It's deep.
y'all?
It's deep. It's
It's
not just a cute little poem that you read and everybody's like, oh, no, it's deep.
and we read it at weddings, but the author didn't even write it about a wedding.
Right.
That's what we
Exactly.
do
He
with the
wrote
wedding.
about all of us and how
It's
we
about
treat
all
all
of
of
us.
us.
Okay? It has to do with
Yes.
all of us who call ourselves believers of Christ and we're followers of Christ. It had nothing to
Mm-hmm.
do with the wedding, but people always read it at the wedding, put it in their bulletin, but not realize these are action words that you have to, as a believer, put into practice. And
Yeah.
so many verses in the Bible about forgiveness. And if you are a Christian and this is what you are saying you are, then you have to leave with what God tells you. Thus said the Lord. It ain't about what culture is saying, what makes you smart or dumb, or what social media is saying. Because at the end of the day, it's between her, God, and this person she chose to walk with.
Right. Right. And the thing is, when you get married, I don't think people be listening to any of that stuff because it says for better or worse, for richer or poorer,
Come
in
on.
sickness and in health. And
Mm-hmm.
we just be thinking about the good, the better, the richer, and the health. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
no, there's all the other sides of that. And I'm not telling, and I think you can't tell anybody to stay or not stay when there's been infidelity. They have to make that decision with God, like you said.
Yeah.
And Tracy said, people are very judgmental without knowing all the details.
Yes.
And the thing is, divorce is a traumatic experience.
It is.
And then add children to it. And when you think about going through something like that, even just the thought, all of the things that have to happen to even get to divorce court or whatever, even if you have a quote unquote amicable divorce, there's
Yeah.
still a whole lot of stuff that has to happen before you even get there.
Yes.
It's like trauma and the trauma after trauma after trauma. And then you've been with this person. I don't know how long they've been married, but I'm sure it's been a grip,
Yeah.
you
Mm-hmm.
know. And so you also have to take into account all of the good stuff that happened,
Okay.
because
Yes.
now it's like when you lose the bad stuff, you also lose whatever good there was. Now, I don't know. I didn't know any of this. I don't know until we decide we're going to talk about this. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, I've heard of Mary, but even when y'all said their names, I wasn't really sure. I went and looked. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I know that, because that's how I'm just like, in my little cave, got the with the little web, No, I tell that, but I'm just saying that, I think that that's a very good point. Now let's see. Um, Ebony said, you could tell that she was carrying a lot of stuff prior to the infidelity coming out. She was always kind of volatile and needed help. I think that added to the depth she went to,
Mm-hmm.
because nobody, I would say it's 0.000.1% that anybody wakes up in this great, amazing marriage and they go off to work and then they just have an affair.
No.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it just
Mm-mm.
doesn't happen like that.
Right.
And so whatever they were going through it before he made the decision.
Mm-hmm.
And but I think that, and that's not to blame her at all, because you make
Right.
a decision to cheat. You made a decision to cheat. That's on you. The
Yeah.
same as it's her decision to forgive. That's between her and God. You made a decision between you and Satan to go ahead and cheat. And so,
Ooh.
and you ignored God. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not blaming her. I'm just saying they obviously had issues before that. And maybe
Mm-hmm.
he even cheated before that. And this is just the one where everybody found out. So
Yep.
like, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Um, but that's part of the worst. And no one gets to say whether you can forgive and stay or forgive and go. Now, I know that you all at your church are doing a book called When Forgiveness Doesn't Make Sense.
Yes.
And, you know, when we standing on the outside, we're just like, that don't make no sense. You know what
Yes.
I'm saying? But
Yes.
there are many situations where forgiveness doesn't make sense. Like, how about God forgiving us? That don't make no sense.
Okay.
That
Okay.
for real doesn't make any sense. Especially when I just did the same thing yesterday. It's not like I just did it once and then I repented and went back to, being good. When I did the same thing yesterday and he forgave me yesterday and then he forgive me today and forgive me tomorrow, that don't make no sense. And
Mm-hmm.
so, and that's not an overly churchy idea or thinking, oh, that's a churchy idea, super Christian, blah, blah, blah. The reality is we should be super Christians. We
Okay.
should be super following Christ as disciples of his. And if that is where God led her to forgive, why, like you said, why do we got to be mad about it? I mean, I do.
Why?
Why do people got to be mad about that?
Yeah.
And the only thing I can think is that you feel guilty because maybe you didn't make that decision and you think it shines a light on you. But I think there are women who should run like the wind if their
Mm-hmm.
spouse cheats. Because I think it's a get out of jail free card, not free, but a get out of jail cheaper than what it would have been. Some people need to run.
Yeah.
And I think God believes that too. But I think there are other people, God's like, I want you to double down. I want you to love. I want you to forgive. I want you to stay in there because that's what's going to be the best for my ultimate plan.
Yes.
And as Christian women, we should be, like you said, that's awesome that you were praying for them. Because I just think we don't pray for public figures very much.
Yeah.
We just like, oh, they good or whatever, that's on them. And we just pray for the people that we know. But it's like, pray for them because it's a painful situation. And were I on the other side of that, man, it would be very hurtful if I also then had to face, and this is what Ebony kind of says here, I don't believe our lives are meant to be on display like that anyway. I'm not a fan of those types of reality shows. It's too much pressure and intrusion.
For sure.
I agree. I hate quote unquote reality shows because it's not even really reality. But 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 I also think even as this concept of being fans of people, I didn't see that in the Bible. Is that let's drop a Ebony statement. Is being a fan biblical? Is that biblical? Because I think we worship people, and then when
Okay.
they fall, now
Mm-hmm.
we
Talk
got an
about it.
attitude.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
So I think that if someone has, as we say all the time, if someone has good advice, take the watermelon, spit out the seeds. Like whatever's not good for you, don't take it, don't use it. But
Yeah.
it doesn't disqualify you from giving advice because you've been through stuff. In fact, sometimes it makes you more qualified to give advice
Exactly.
because you've been through stuff. That's
Yes.
Isn't that what every coaching program tells you? You
Mm-hmm.
just have to be one step or two behind, in front of the people that you coaching, because
Mm-hmm.
you've been through something, and now you can
Yeah.
tell them, "Oh, this is how you go through that. This is
Yes.
how you
Yes.
walk
Yes.
through that." So,
Yes. There was another comment Renee put in the chat too.
Yep. Let's see here. I heard a guy say this week that people judge the decision without knowing the choices. Ooh.
Mm. Mm.
Wow. I don't know
Wow.
who that guy is, but is he single? Come on.
Single and over 38. Single and over 38. That's what we need to do. Yeah. Ooh, that's a good one.
That is
Ooh, that's a
a
good
good
one.
one. Cause we just look at, oh man, that's good. I wish her internet was working. But
Wow.
that's good stuff right there, y'all. Don't and it's a rebuke to us who have fallen into the trap and looked at people on the outside and judged their decisions, whether they're famous or whether they just at our church.
Yeah.
Whether they're even in our family. We don't always know. Like sometimes we are close enough to know the choices,
Yeah.
but most often we are not close enough to know the choices. And
Ooh.
so praying for somebody as opposed to judging that person is big time. And Tracy said, I don't think I don't think being a fan is biblical unless you're a fan of Jesus only. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Now you can really love CC Winans, but you don't need to be a fan of her.
Oh, CC.
Fanatical. That's where that word comes from.
Fanatical. Okay. 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 Okay.
Okay.
We all
All
love
right.
some CC.
Yeah, we about to. Okay, I'm gonna try to show the
Question
video on this.
5.
This is for you and Ebony and all you married people in the chat. I think. Should I show the video? Or should I just explain?
Yes. What are you going to tell them? Yeah, I think you should.
All right, let's show the video. Let's hope it works. All right. Nope. Oh, stop sharing. I'm afraid that I don't want to
Why
have
you
any
doing that,
technical.
Tracy? Oh yeah, you got to play it up. Say Tracy made another comment. Oh, Renee said he's a good guy. He's a basketball player, but he ain't ready.
Hmm. What happened to you?
You took me out.
I didn't take you out. That's why I said I don't want to mess with the because there's always some drama over here. But we're gonna get you back. I'm not gonna show the video. Okay, come on, people. All right. Can you all still hear me in the chat? And I'm working on getting you back up here, Alita.
Okay. I can see you. I can see me now.
Okay. Yeah, but that's not the one I want. So let's see. I'm just gonna tell the situation and I'm gonna ask the question. So okay, let me put this comment up before I do that. Tracy says you can admire people but maintain the understanding that we have free will and can make any choice we want. People will not always make the decision or make the choices you want them to. Yeah. Okay, so here's the situation. We talked last week about sex and how as Christians we should be waiting until we get married to have sex. And we have a question that's based on waiting till you get married to have sex. And then being on your wedding night, this is the video. It's a husband and wife. They just got married today. And the wife is basically saying, okay, like we've talked and stuff. Now I'm ready to go to bed. She's ready to, kind of start figuring this thing out here. So start consummating. And the guy is he's just trying to avoid it. Okay. And he ends up calling his pastor, his mentor, saying, I don't know what to do. We didn't talk about this in premarital counseling. I really wish I'll post the video somewhere. How do single people learn about sex practically without engaging in activity before marriage? And what is the church's responsibility? Okay. Now, let me give you some context. See, that's why Ebony was supposed to be on here so she can help a sister out, but it's all on you. Oh, it's all on you. Okay. Last week, you were talking about how we can say the word orgasm, not the old need a word, but orgasm. We were talking about orgasms and pickles and all of that stuff, and not knowing that that was even really an expectation that you should have. And then when you asked some women about it, they were just like, I ain't about to tell you, blah, 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 blah. But you had one person who was like, who actually helped you to kind of figure some stuff out, a woman.
Yeah.
So how do single people who have followed the biblical, structure learn even what questions to ask? Because, we all know the basics. But how do you even know what questions are? How do we learn about this stuff so that we don't, it's not like completely brand new when you get to the marriage bed that is undefiled and looking crazy because you just like, it's a scary thing. Even if you have done it before, but it's been a long time or whatever, like thinking about, it's exciting to think about your wedding night and your life and all of that, but it's also anxiety producing. So talk about that a little bit.
I just want to say again,
26 years in the game.
6 years in the game, and a mother of four, three being girls that I have to prep and have conversation. I would tell you, for my 20-year-old who'll be 21 this August in college, some of our conversations have shifted because I got to keep it 100 with her. Because if not, and I say this all the time to other parents, their friends gonna tell them, like, kids talk, people talk, so they're gonna learn some stuff. And now with the phones, they have way more access than we ever did growing up. But first things first, a lot of people want to know the how, but they need to know the why. One, just recognizing that sex is God designed. It is not culture created. I saw a clip yesterday, and I think on Monday, and I sent it to Lorraine. It was late though, but it was David and Tamla Mann, Kev on stage, and they were in Atlanta, I think, at William Murphy's church. And the gentleman was saying, one, God created sex. He created our bodies that have all these sensors in them to be able to also feel and enjoy this thing. And so get this thought out of your mind of thinking it's just a worldly thing for those people who think it may be, I got to do exactly what the world says do and look at these movies. And that's what God created this thing to be between two women. A man and a woman that are going to get married, that you're married and with your husband and wife. I had to fix this out, Lord.
Yeah, please fix that. We did. That was a
man and a woman, Adam and Eve, he created. But God designed it, not culture created. It's tied to a covenant. That's in Genesis 2:24. It's also about unity, which is in 1 Corinthians 6:16-20. And it's about honor. That's in Hebrews 13:4. But recognizing that this thing, again, is not just about physical. It's a spiritual agreement. It's emotional bonding, and it's a covenant expression. So, again, when you intend to do this, recognize that I'm now coming into spiritual agreement with this person. So, no, we don't need to test drive it beforehand. There could be learning without doing. Say that with me. Education without participation.
Education without participation.
Okay, there's healthy avenues. I think somebody said in the chat something about Christian websites, but also faith-based books on marriage and intimacy. Because intimacy too, and I believe actually multiple men this one time, even on our chat and a lot of people just automatically thought the word intimacy meant sex. And it's like, no, it's into me, you see. There's vulnerability, there's my emotions, there's my heart, and we're talking. You're getting to know me, I'm getting to know you. Premarital counseling, because I would tell you, my premarital counseling, the pastor talked about sex. And so who you're going to, and if you're seriously dating, but even while you're single, you can get this counseling. And then listening to, as you said, other married people or godly mentors, though, people who are in a marriage, fulfilled in that way, but who can actually be honest with you and have safe conversations. And so that can help remove the curiosity though that's rooted in secrecy and replace it with wisdom. Because when there's
Mhm.
things that are done in the dark, they do come to the
Good.
light. And when you're being
Say that.
secretive
Say that
about it,
again. Say that again. Say what you
so
just
that
said
removes this
about
removes
curiosity.
curiosity rooted in secrecy and replaces it with wisdom.
Mm,
Because you can go down this rabbit hole trying to find out all this stuff yourself, and recognizing the devil always tries to duplicate what God
mhm,
already made. He
mhm,
didn't he didn't create sex, but he had to go and try to duplicate it and pervert it and do all these things to it. And so if you're in secret trying to find out things, you're going to go down a rabbit hole and end up in the wrong way. But if you're open about these questions and you can find people to have these honest and safe conversations with, it's best to do that. And so, one even asking God, "Hey, God, who's somebody in my life now that I know that maybe
mhm,
the person I can come to with these questions."
mhm.
And want to know about it. But mature believers who won't be ashamed, because I can tell you now, I was in a room with some married women the other day, and not everybody is as comfortable. And I can tell you, based on the generations, how some or the age gap, with some of them
Mhm,
still they will never say. They'll
mhm.
just kind of smile about it, and I'm still like, girl, you got to help your other sister over here. And you can give some truth without graphic or
Yeah,
inappropriate detail.
absolutely.
You can
Absolutely.
still
You
give
did
truth.
that. You did that last week. I thought it was amazing.
You can give truth without having to tell all your bedroom stuff, because that's the way people kind of they stop talking. And I won't even say just that, but I've been in the space where it was women's night at somebody's house, and a wife was sharing some things, and another woman said, "You need to stop sharing that because somebody may be plotting on your man." And I just thought, wow, are you plotting on her man? Because why would
Right.
that
Like just
your man?
maybe just you. Cause yeah, that's
Yeah, and maybe there is some truth to that. You do have some people that show up to church that, I mean, we all are the church technically that still maybe have a struggle. But I was like, we were in a space with women. She should have been able to be safe there and share something, and not be sitting there having to go home thinking, oh my God, I shared
right,
this, somebody's coming after my husband. No, 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 no.
right.
But being and then if you are the married person and you um are willing to share, be open and honest with them. Like I said, don't but be a safe space for other people who need to ask the questions.
Mhm,
Don't make them feel shameful about it, because they need to know. And you want to kind of help steer them the right path, because if they aren't able to come to you, if you are a person that's walking in alignment with who God called you to be, if they're not able to come to you, then they're possibly going to go find out from some other bad sources, and we don't want to do that.
right.
Because again, sex in a marriage is an important part of the marriage, and it's under God's covenant, and we want them to be in their marriage and be happy. And also let them know that you want to talk to your spouse about it. If nothing else, you can say to the person, "Hey, I don't necessarily tell my business, but you and your spouse are learning each other. So be open, just like you're talking about what you're gonna have for dinner tonight. When it comes to sex, you need to be able to talk to your spouse about what felt
Mhm,
great, what doesn't feel great, what you think you need
mhm.
to feel safe, to even be able to share that, because it can be an awkward conversation, but you need to both be able to have safe spaces and to be able to share what you need in your marriage and how
Yeah,
each one can better serve the other one.
yeah. I love everything that you just said, and I can't comment on all of that as we start to wrap up. But I do think that where you landed was really good because I think that even having someone say that you have the right and the responsibility to have this conversation with your husband, to talk to him about what you like. Like you have a right to enjoy sex.
Hmm.
You know, to have a woman say that to you, I mean, I know that, but I'm just saying, like, there are a lot of people who don't know that,
Yeah.
you know, and who don't even know what that means. You know, appreciate what Ebony said that, you know, Christian websites. And you know, I think that's great. But to have someone to give you the permission to like talk to your husband, to even tell you maybe how to, because sometimes you can come at that wrong, and then that, you know, creates a different kind of problem. And
Hmm.
that's true about every topic, but I think this is a particularly sensitive topic, and people don't necessarily get used to talking about it because no one tells them it's okay to talk about. You know, there's still, even in marriage, there's still sort of kind of uh, a veil over sex, so that
Mhm.
because we bring that from being single and pure and all that purity culture stuff, we talked about this last week, there's this veil, so that even when you are free to enjoy it, that you still think it's kind of dirty, it's good, but you're married, but it's okay, but it's still kind of nasty, it's still, so we have kind of these mixed feelings. And if no one's saying no, it's okay, and it's not dirty and it's not nasty, I mean, there are some things that you probably want to, but it's not like it's still, but that's, I don't even want to know what those things are. Like, that's
Yeah,
between y'all. Like, I don't gotta,
yeah,
I don't have any responsibility for what you do in your bed.
that's right.
And so, but that's another thing, to be able to communicate to your partner, hey, I'm down for trying this, but I'm not really down for trying that, all of these types of things. um,
Hmm.
Tracy said, you become a parent, you don't know how to be a parent, you figure it out. It's the same with sex. Well, what I would say is, there are a lot of people I wish weren't parents, and the way they figured it out, they did it really badly. So I think a little guidance would be appropriate here, so that we could, on both of those topics. Let's see, it's an either or pendulum, silence or word vomit. There's a middle ground to discuss all things, and I think people think it's a either or,
Yeah,
not just. And so these are some of the topics, not just enjoyment, frequency, place, time, all the things need to be discussed.
for sure.
Amen.
Yeah, because people's expectations on frequency, that's a
Yeah,
that can be a problem.
it can be a problem. It can be a problem. Thank you all for participating in the chat. These
Yes.
are great questions that actually came from, culture, faith, and talking about sex and all of these things. And we just want to keep bringing those types of topics to you. Please share, like, and my only update. We'll do this right. And that is, I am talking to someone. It's been about 3 weeks, and so far he's a very kind and gentleman who I talked to on the phone for the first time this past Sunday, and that went really well. And so, as you know, for those who don't know, I just got on these Facebook groups for single Christians, and a lot of people were coming into the DMs, but he's the only one that has survived the firestorm. Initially there's all this stuff, but who actually stayed the course, and we have conversations, and we contact each other pretty much every day, even though he contacted me today and I just haven't had time to respond yet. But we'll keep you updated on how that is going. Thank you again for being with us. And I just want to hit you all real quick with in the chat. If you know, I know we're running a little long, but I just want to share this. I am doing a mastermind, Becoming Her, 8-week, the Fulfill Women. Um, oh yeah, Tracy. We get you. Tracy said that's in relation to figuring things out, like test driving and stuff. So you will figure it out. Yeah, we agree with you. Um, it's an 8-week program, so just check that out for single women only. Becoming Her, the Fulfilled Woman Mastermind, and I'm excited about it. So check that out. Just that email and DM me if you have any interest in just learning more about it. I also have my email address in the top of the chat, pinned in the chat. So support at asinglemission.com if you are interested in that, or know someone who could be interested in that. So tonight's conversation proves that singles are not shallow, really, but asking really good, thoughtful, discerning questions, because we need to know how to navigate these real issues in a really confusing dating culture, especially as Christians. There's just a lot going on. If one of these questions challenged you, helped you, or made you think differently, share this episode with someone else. Or if you hated this episode, still share it with somebody. Subscribe, comment on your favorite question. Tell us what we should cover next on Hot Topic Tuesday, which is the fourth Tuesdays of the month when we go live. Sis, bro, you don't need another rescue plan. You need to apply wisdom that will keep you from falling in the first place. Every week, there's at least one nugget, but there's really a whole, chicken basket of stuff that you can, or a tofu basket of stuff, wherever you land, that you can take and apply to your dating life so that you stay in the safe zone. So until next time, make choices that will help you live, love, and marry wisely. God bless.